Hey y'all, and welcome back to another episode of the Hashtag Truth Challenge podcast / web series, where I talk about the whole truth and nothing but the truth in regards to mental health, relationships, and adulthood. This is just a quick intro because there is no audio for the first 30 minutes of this video. So I am coming in with this quick clip and we're going to get right into the video.
Hey, would you rather live without hope or without love for a month?
I say hope.
I also say hope.
Y'all can live without hope?
No, I meant live without love. That's what I mean. Damn.
You can live without love?
I cannot live without love. I could live without hope.
Hope is what keeps you going.
No, I'm about to say, it's like, okay.
You ain't got no hope. You just
I mean,
bottom with no like silver lining. You see, like
Yeah.
But what kind of love are we talking about?
just I be
love.
fine in the house, but like by myself, and like you just at home, but you still have hope.
What if you don't love yourself?
Janice, what?
That's a valid.
You took it
I
there.
know.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
you
I
could not
mean-
love yourself.
But
But when you have
You have
hope, there's a
everything.
hope for. Yeah, you can hope for anything. You can hope.
For
Okay,
love.
at some point I am gonna love myself, or be loved by another person, or etc. 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 Cause I am a homebody. Like I could just be in during quarantine. This something funny. Hold on. During quarantine, I was in the house when they was like shut down for like 2 weeks, blah blah blah, and then it kept getting extended.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, my mama was like, "You know, you can like leave the house, right?" Because I was just in the house, just looking around, me and the cat talking to each other. Mama was like, "You know, you can go outside, right?" I was like, "Can you go outside?" Girl, I went to the grocery store. I was flabbergasted at the amount of people that was at the grocery store. I was like, "So y'all just been outside this whole damn time? Like, I could be inside and
Sounds
to
nice.
myself and not, yeah."
That's me.
I mean, I might go into a spiral. I might start spiraling. Like you said. I might start spiraling.
Man.
But it's hope that eventually I'm gonna come out of the spiral. I'm gonna stop spiraling one
But
day.
you just have to have hope. Like,
Yeah, like
because I feel like there's one point in time of your life where you didn't have love. Like you weren't married. You probably like there's one point in time and you came out of that without hope. You just like you stuck.
But at the same time, like, I feel like a majority of us like have been loved our whole lives.
Yeah.
Because like from the second that we were born, there was somebody taking care of us. There was somebody like constantly being around us. And like, you told us about this question. I've been still thinking about it all week long. Like, and I can't decide, but I think that I feel like I would rather go without hope because I'm such an empathetic person that I feel like I need that comfort and I need to feel loved. But also, like, if it was just me alone in my house, if I didn't have love for my dog or my dog didn't love me, I'd be just like done for. Like I just no, but like it sounds dumb. But like if you're literally not living without love, I'm thinking of all the different ways you can get love. Your parents calling you just because they love you and they want to hear your voice.
Yes.
Your dog, fucking just laying on your pillow when you get home because she missed you. And there's fur all over it, but it's fine because she loves you.
Yeah.
And like it's just very small things that you don't realize that are ways that people show you love.
Yeah.
Yes. So not
You know?
just romance or like a love between like, your significant other. But yeah, that's
I'm
why
thinking
I'm like, I
parents,
could go
I'm
without
thinking
hope.
dogs.
There's times where I'm not hopeful. I don't have hope right now. But if I didn't like have the love of my friends or from my parents or whoever, then I feel like that.
As long as I don't feel alone
I feel
in
like
this
it's
world.
a month, so I can go a month without it. I'll be fine. Like,
Yeah.
we don't need to talk. I need some time to myself, look at myself, and talk to us about what we gonna do about each other.
Right.
Together. So, like, not saying,
Yeah.
like, the question wasn't like how. It was just for a month. So for a month, I could probably go without love. I could probably take 4 weeks to myself and evaluate a lot of things that need to be restructured.
But do you think it takes love for yourself to put yourself in that position that you need to put yourself in a new position? Does that make sense?
I mean, I don't think that it varies. I think it's like
if you didn't have hope for yourself, would you, or not, like love for yourself, would you look in the mirror and be like, let's change this, this, and that?
I mean, I would, yeah. I mean, that makes sense, right?
I would.
I agree. But But if we're just stating off the question for 1 month, I probably can still go without love for 1 month. Because I feel like sometimes love, if you give love too much power, it takes over yourself. Because like you get into a relationship lasts for however long, you love this person, you put all that love into that person, and then they just walk away. So it's like, you have that little kind of trauma, hashtag trauma, that you give your love, and it's like, it still gets thrown away. So like for 1 month, I probably could be without love, and I would be, you know, okay. Yeah. Not saying all my life I'm just about to be by, you know.
Yeah.
Hell no. Okay. No. Not after day 32. All right. Where y'all at? So come on.
Yeah.
Love me.
I need love. I need it.
But if it's like just 1 month, especially like going through a relationship where it was just like it was erupted. The love was gone. It's kind of like boom. Yeah. Like I that month I can go with that. No. Yeah. The rest of my life, no, we ain't talking. Love on me, cause I'm cute.
Yeah. I deserve it. I'm worthy. I'm worthy. I am deserving and worthy of love. Yeah, for sure I can go without love, but hope is like it's something to look forward to. Yeah,
it's a motivator.
It is. It really is. And I get it, like the self-love part, like okay, but if I could. Because when I think of the question, can I live without love? I'm thinking more of like externally somebody giving it to me.
Right, that's why I was like,
and not like an inner thing.
The question is like.
But even if I don't love myself, I can still have hope to get to a point where I'm like, I would love myself enough to do A, B, C, and D, or whatever. So.
Because I don't think the question kind of eliminates love in the whole concept. It's just like if you had one more than the other, it's like okay, I would take hope for a month rather than love. So I just feel like you just have to have hope. Like, you ain't got hope, you ain't got nothing.
You really are. It's nothing.
Just nothing.
Null and void. I'm gonna go eat this bread and die.
Leave me alone.
Leave me alone, please. That junk is hilarious.
I eat this bread and die.
That's what she
said.
Leave me alone, please. Last question. What? And I know people say. Let me ask the question first.
Is this a surprise question?
No. The surprise was the would you rather questions in the beginning that were really weird.
Never mind.
So the last question is, do you have any regrets, or are there certain things that you regret? And I know a lot of people say like, oh, I don't have any regrets because I blah 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 and my life is blah 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 blah, which I get that because whatever life circumstances you have made you who you are. But in that, I still feel like you are things like if you could have done it differently, if you could have changed it in any type of way, not to say that you don't like who you are now or you would change anything per se at the moment, but it's like back then when you were in the moment, would you have done anything different? So I'll go first. I thought about this, but I really didn't. I think one of my biggest regrets would be staying in toxic environments for longer than necessary. Like there are certain things that I look back on and I'm like, you should have paid more attention to that, or you should have paid attention when that person said this, or when you felt this way. Like just listening to myself, like knowing, even just as women, we're more intuitive and like we have gut feelings, or we just have a sixth sense about stuff when something's off. But I think because for me, and I'm referencing like church and very religious things, and me trying to be spiritual but not really being spiritual, now that I look back on it was just stupidity. And I look back on certain conversations or certain things and I'm just like, you should have paid attention, you should have listened. And because I was a very passive person, it was just like, well, I'm not going to say anything because that's going to turn into an argument. I don't want to say this because then they're going to think this. And then it just went for so long to the point where I literally like spiritually like died in that environment, to the point where like by the time I got out of it, it was too late. It was like, nigga, you already numb to all of it, so you might as well. I just like, I was having dreams and everything, and I just be like, well, no, that can't mean that blah 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 blah, but but it did though. Like you need to listen. You're not listening, and you holding on to something because you want it to be something so bad because you literally devoted every moment of your life to this. X amount of dollars. You pay your tithes, you give your offering, you do all the things that you're supposed to do. You are a pillar in this, church community. And yeah, I just didn't listen. And had I ended that sooner, I don't think I would be in the spiritual. I know. Listen.
Is she coming out?
No, she literally, she has her little claws. I haven't cut her nails in a long time, but her little claws be in her, and she just be clawing and trying. And crying and stuff, and it just be. She's so dramatic.
Yeah,
the way I hear this door rattling, I'm like,
is she coming out?
you would think that baby's in there dying. And then she gonna come out here and look at us and then go in the other room. That's what she gonna do. She don't want nothing. She's just being extra. But yeah, I would say that's my biggest regret. It's just not listening to myself.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to myself. I sure learned my lesson though.
I'm gonna backtrack off that kind of, but it's not with like the church. It's more so like old relationships, how you just like you stick around for so long because you're like, oh, it's gonna be bad, and it's just like I regret giving so much of my time to situations like that because it's like now I could care less about that person, like
Right.
And you don't get
no
your time
kind
back.
of connection, ain't nothing there, and it's like it took me to graduate college and move back home to finally like chop it off. Because it's like if I was still in that vicinity of that person, it was like, oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, right? No, and it was like just a straight waste of time, and it's just like you had a whole college, like this was my entire, pretty much like sophomore until I graduated. And it's just like, you know what I could have did during that time? I could have lived my best life.
Legit.
Instead, I'm running behind your ass.
Yeah.
I would say, and not even just with that, like a previous relationship, like high school. I always give people like the benefit of the doubt. So now you got one time to do something off, one time to do something off the wall. And since all of that, it shaped me to be that person. Like I'm not gonna put up with nothing. Like
because everybody is self-serving, and so when you're fighting for it and they're not fighting for it, you're serving them, but they're just only serving themselves because they're neglecting you as a person. So it's like you gotta learn to be self-serving. It's not benefiting you.
And they don't even go with just like relationships, like
it's
friendships
it's
too.
with work.
With
Anything.
anything.
Work is not self-serving.
I feel like with friendships it's even worse too, because with a relationship you're like whatever, like cut it off, like bye. But like especially in high school, if you were best friends with somebody who was toxic, it like seemed like it was the end of the world because for me, like the friendship was over and like we had the same group of friends and it's like, okay, well where do I go?
Right.
Like that kind of thing.
What do I do?
Right. Because then you just don't have no friends.
With relationships, I mean, if they're not in the same like friend group as you or whatever, you can move on. You have like your friends to support you, for the most part. But if it's a friend, that I feel like sometimes can hurt even more than a relationship.
Family too, because there's plenty of family members that I chopped off because y'all just, I don't want nobody in my vicinity, in my circle, in my or whatever you call it. Like if you gonna be selfish or you gonna use me for certain stuff or talk about me to other goodbye. Like all my family live in Georgia and I promise you I don't talk to half of them because it's like, why? Because y'all all fake. Like I don't so I don't put up with nothing. I be my mama house, my grandma house, my house. That's my little triangle. That's it. Yeah, because what I'm gonna go out my way to go visit y'all when I leave, y'all gonna be talking shit.
Right.
There's no point. I'm like that with everybody. Friends, jobs, relationship, no.
I be having, but you have to have boundaries and everything.
And at first I didn't. I used to run behind family. Oh, family comes first. That's me right now. All y'all.
You choose your family.
Yeah. She is upset. Please let her out.
No.
Oh, that's wrong.
No.
More quieter than dog.
Anybody else have any regrets?
I think it would be like, my regret would be not opening my mouth more to like just voice my opinion. Like it's taken me a while to kind of like just say, no, I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be here. Let me go. Or even if I do feel uncomfortable, it's like, okay.
You sit there.
Or like just to
to make other people
like,
feel
so
better.
not even that, but it's like if I cut off a friend, I cut them off because, and I don't explain why I do it. It's like, well, you did something wrong, I'm done with you. And I've also been taught to like not to have those boundaries. And it's like when I have the boundary and I feel like the boundary is broken, I was like, I can't deal with it because I feel like I take on that load. It's like there's more stuff on me. So I'm learning to like voice how I feel. Okay, so I feel like you did that wrong. So how could you make it better? Instead of just giving them the benefit of the doubt without giving them too much of a just free pass. Like, so I feel like you hurt my feelings because you didn't call me back.
Right.
Why did you call me back? You know, instead of taking it personal. So it's just like opening my mouth to say, you have a feeling. Tell them how you feel. You're not gonna die.
Right. I
It's
get that.
fine. Like,
Those conversations are hard though.
They're hard
That's-
because I would stop talking. I would just let it go. Okay. But in the inside, I'm like, wait, but you did. But what is the spiral that you're going down? But you never get that close. It's just like learning to open my mouth. Just say, okay, well, I didn't like that you did that. So how could you do it? You know, just get that whole learn how to have a conversation without getting so emotional. Because I know I am a very emotional person. I can get very tied into things, and it's like really bad. Okay, try it this way. You know, open your mouth without having the emotion. Just make a statement and just see how it goes from there. And you know, it's just. So I feel like if I can do a lot of things different, I would definitely learn to open my mouth and just say, so you don't want to talk to me? You know, like in the way I would talk to a person, but it's like, they're like, no, girl, okay, I've had something to do. Well, okay, let's go. You know, we're better now. You know, I just need to know. But it's just like opening your mouth, because that little thing turned into a big thing because you don't want to talk to the person because they just didn't call you back that one time.
Right.
But it did something to you because I have like those abandonment issues, like you don't want to talk to me, right? And then it starts a whole nother thing that is just like all in your head. So you're creating a narrative that they intentionally hurt you, and that was just very one-sided. That's not the intention. It's just they missed it, or they couldn't be there, or they couldn't do that. It's just,
Right.
I swear I think she's about to open this door every 5 seconds. But if I could do a lot of things different, I definitely will like just open my mouth and make a statement instead of just like internalizing and just shutting down.
Yeah.
Like I shut down real quick. I was.
I mean, because if you think about it, like we're not. I know I wasn't taught to have those type of conversations. Like, and for the most part, even in small ways, I feel like, especially in the Black community, like very often we were taught that our feelings didn't matter in very small ways, but it was just like, it got to the point when now that we're adults, it's like, why am I so afraid to say something? Why do I feel like, yeah, so you're trying to uncondition yourself to be like, okay, I can say something because I'm allowed to say something, because I'm a person with feelings, just like everyone else, so let me say something just for myself. Like, because you know, when you're a child, like children are seen and not heard, or whatever else, or belittling your feelings, stay out of grown folks' business. Like it wasn't like an intentional like you don't have feelings, you can't express them, you can, but it was just little things that reinforce that your feelings don't matter.
Because you've heard it so many times.
And so you just turn into like this passive little Black girl that allow people, like, I remember one time, like, I let this girl, like, bully me, because for one, I was like, I didn't really know what was happening, because I never really had issues with other girls like that. So when I did, like, y'all, I probably, now that I think about it, I should have punched her in the face. We was all in a fashion show at school, and we was walking past each other, and she, on purpose, got close. It was a whole aisle. She got close to me, bumped me on my way up, and, like, said something under her breath, but in that moment it's like, I should have put you in a headlock. I should have said, I should have slapped you. I should have. But in my mind, I was just like, I don't know how to handle like confrontation at all. Like, I don't know what that looks like, what that feels like. But so now I'm at the point where it's just like, okay, passiveness is not healthy. Okay, you're not getting anywhere. you got all these pent up feelings, the other person doesn't care.
Yeah.
Even if you are in like some type of functional relationship with them, if you want to keep that going, they need to be aware of what it is that they're doing that is hurting you, upsetting you, or whatever, and talk it out. And normally, like you said, it's something like so small where, oh, I was just blah blah blah, or I was just doing this over here. You like, oh, okay.
Because you get that narrative, it's just like, oh, well, they don't. You know, you start to get that insecurity. It's kind of like, well, I don't feel right. You don't want to be my friend, or you don't want to talk. You just got to. And it just goes to a downward spiral where it's just like down. But like from my upbringing, my mom used to hold family meetings, and we had the floor to talk. We can cuss, we can say whatever. But I never did it because you always have that. Well, that's not gonna matter.
Right.
It's kind of like I understand how you can give me the floor, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel like you're gonna bring this back up one day.
Right.
You're gonna be on my ass. You're gonna be on my ass.
Right.
I don't think this is gonna. So I still would hold back, even when I did have an open floor. So like we would hold them like at least once a week.
I like that.
Have family meetings, and we were able to talk about things or talk, just get things out. But I never took the opportunity to just say, Mama, I feel like you talk to my brother nicer than you talk to me.
Right.
And that's a simple statement that I could have used, and that would have alleviated a lot of things. Like, well, I feel like he's younger. You know a lot more. That's a conversation. It opens up a conversation. So it's like, even when my mom did have those type of open things, I still would hold back because I feel like it's not gonna matter. So then you get that narrative that it's like, your words don't matter. So why would you open your mouth to say something, but then you walk around with an attitude because she closed the door and you were walking right behind her, and it was unintentional because she didn't see you. So it's just like those things, you start to create triggers in your own head, and it's like, girl, go sit down, like relax.
Yeah.
So like I've learned and I've grown to like just open your mouth. It's simple. You got words, girl. You was college. You got
We
the
know
words.
It's interesting how like our upbringing is like affect. Because my mom never did that. Like she fussed and said what she had to say, and if you said anything back to her, you were talking back, being disrespectful.
Yeah.
So I just learned to just not say nothing. Yeah. She'd be going topsy turvy and saying all kind of shit. And I'm just like, let me know with my mouth, because it's gonna open a can of worms. It's gonna make her mad, and it's just gonna be more and more of a mess rather than just her fussing at me. Even if, like, y'all, this, let me tell y'all this shit. So my mom, y'all know the jam that comes with the pink top, black bottle. You know the jam, the hair jam.
What's jam?
Yes.
The commercial?
My damn allergies. I'm sorry. It probably is.
You sitting in it now.
I know, it's alright. But she had this jam, and to this day, I told her this a couple of years ago. She still don't believe me. I said, Mom, can I borrow some of your jam? She said, yeah, you can borrow it. I took the jam and the brush into my bathroom. I didn't end up using the jam. Why, when I gave her...
I'm like, well, I thought she was talking about like jelly jam. So
no, like hair jam.
Jam. Remember the commercial?
know
Like,
jam.
let's jam. It's the blah, 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 blah.
I know it's hair products now, but
you know what I'm
initial conversation, I was like, she was mad about some jelly? Oh, no!
And my mama is very particular about her stuff. Don't use my brush, my whatever. So we have to ask her. Like, to this day, I'm like, Mom, can I use some of it? Y'all, I didn't even end up using the jam. I took her this damn container back, and it pisses me off to this day, because I'm just like, bro, she went on a rant. You use all my stuff. Don't ask me to use nothing. I said, say nothing. In my head, I'm like, I didn't even use it. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, I literally could have been like, I really need to use it. But because she was already heated, for me to prove her wrong and make her more mad was worse than me just shutting my mouth. But y'all, she legit, for like a week, I gotta go to the store and get more jam because you sat there and just used all my jam. And I'm just like, I literally didn't even open the container. But because I was so like, my mama's word is law, let me just shut up. But in my head, I'm like, I didn't even use the damn jam. Like, that's how my mama was. To this day, she's still like that, which is why I don't live with her. But when I graduated college, I didn't have no apartment or nothing. I went to stay with my grandma. I was like, I'm not moving in the house with you, because me and mama don't get along when we live together. Because she just
Yeah.
She just.
I think it's like that for all of us. Yeah. Like as we grow up and we become our own person and we see the things that we like, we don't like, and it's like I don't think like parents understand like our standards and that our standards are different from theirs, and my boundaries are different from yours. So the things that you expect for me to do just because I am a child or you're a child, I'm also not going to do because I'm an adult apart from you. And I think that's, and I see how that can be difficult for them. Like you've had me all of your life. Like
you molded me into this beautiful creation.
And now because it's like they just want like not like a clone, but they expect you to have certain characteristics or like, oh, I didn't teach you that, or I didn't. Right, because I grew up and I became my own person. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because like our parents' generation was one of the first generations to actually step away from the norm of what their parents wanted. And I think now that they're seeing that with us, they're like, they don't know how to go about it.
But there's such a difference between, like you said, generations of what they did and how we're doing things, and it just being kind of like that disconnect. But it's okay. Like that's one thing I'm coming to terms with. Like me and my parents aren't going to agree on everything, and that's okay. Like so, some conversations we don't have because I'm like I'm trying to be my own person and build my foundation and what I believe and what I want to do with my life, and you be coming over here and messing that up sometimes. I don't need that. Okay, I'm doing my own thing right here, and I'm leaving me alone, please. Leave me alone, please. It just be like regular life stuff that you try to work through, and then it makes me wonder, like, did they have these thoughts when they were like our age?
100%.
Like trying to, because then when it come to us, they act like they ain't never had these type of thoughts before.
Yeah.
Like, so you never tried to become your own person? Is that what you're trying to like?
My mama had me young.
Okay.
So she was trying to be grown already, but my grandma had my mama at 14.
So y'all just kept it going.
I am the end of that train. Okay.
Good.
So my mama was born when my grandma was 14, turning 15, and then she had me when she was 16, before she turned 16. One of the two. But it's just like I always have that thought. Like I always do something small, and I have to hear like you need, and I'm just like I beat all of y'all. Like my whole family had their first generation kids. I was the only damn what's it called? And when I was born, I was growing up with my mama's cousins. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So it's like I beat everybody with the doing what I need to do, going to college. So it's like whenever they say the littlest stuff to me, I'm just like, literally, I'm like, shut up, because I'm 26, I ain't got no children yet. I'm living on my own. It's just like you said, just shut up.
Leave me alone, please.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, please.
Because it's just like, y'all were trying to be grown too fast. But when I'm at the age where I'm supposed to be grown, you need to slow down. And the biggest thing that kills me is that you be going out too much. You just mad because you couldn't
go out
when you were my age, because you had your kids already. So it's like, let me do something different and, enjoy it. Like, I be ready to say something. So my grandma too, would be like, what?
For real, you be like, don't, now when we get on this phone, don't start. Okay, don't start. I don't have time. I forgot what the original thing was.
I regrets. My bad.
Oh, regrets.
But you these aired.
Oh, did you go?
I didn't say anything.
Okay, yeah, y'all go.
Because we
literally got on the whole tangent. I don't know if I'm gonna keep that in there because it got real for a minute.
Yeah, it did.
It did. Okay.
Fine.
I would
That's what
say
it's here for.
Yeah.
Challenge.
some things that I regret.
That's what the whole thing's for.
So when I first got married, I did not tell anybody. And I didn't tell, like, literally nobody knew except my parents and his parents, and obviously us. But I didn't tell anybody. Yes, he knew. But I didn't tell anybody because we were super, super heavy involved in church. Mm-hmm. And when I had first joined the church, I was originally with somebody else who was extremely toxic, but then I feel like I also was because I was in the environment, I guess you could say. But that's
You're given the energy that you were getting.
Yes, so that's fine. But I guess not getting, like,
Oh my gosh.
it was just it was a good church. I mean, I don't want to say anything bad about the church, but I guess the culture of the group that I was with was very, like, controlling, to where I based all of my decisions off of, well, what is, this person gonna think, or what are they gonna say, or anything. So since they were all friends with my ex, when I started a new relationship, it was like, oh, well, like, what is this? Or why are you talking to so-and-so? Because there was a time where we were just friends. Like, I had no interest in Timothy West whatsoever. I didn't. But because he was just so nice to me.
Why are you so pretty? I'm just looking at
Literally.
you talking. It's just
So
like
annoying.
this little, just
It's the hair, the
graceful
light in her
little
hair.
angel. Just go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm distracted.
But because people were like, oh, like, are you guys talking? I'd be like, no, we're not talking. Like, because we weren't, but just making me feel bad, like, for what I'm doing because you're friends with so-and-so, or whatever you feel, or you feel like I need to go through, like, a healing process, whatever, which I did, but whatever. I'm still, making my own decisions. So when we got engaged, they were like, did you ask us? Did I ask you? Could somebody propose to me and we start a life together? Did I ask you if I could do that?
Sounds like a cult.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the word.
So piggybacking off of that, we were like, we want to get married because we wanted to live together. We wanted to just
B.
yes. But we felt like we were gonna get a bunch of ridicule, whatever. Yeah. So we came to Texas and we got a Texas marriage license and we got married here. And we didn't tell anybody for a whole year. Like, I would take my ring off, he would take his ring off, we'll go to church, do whatever. But it was like often because I would go on Monday for life group. Then on Tuesday, I have choir practice. Then on Wednesday, it's blah, blah, blah. So we were there all the time. So it was like constantly lying, all this stuff, just changing. And it's like, I'm married, like I want to be celebrating. This is like the honeymoon phase. Like I'm supposed to be enjoying my time. But I was so afraid of, like, well, I'm not, if I do this, then they're going to kick me out of blah, blah, blah. Or I'm not going to be in leadership because they didn't agree with whatever, for whatever reason. So I guess just letting other people's opinions and what they think they want from me dictate my decisions, because then I'm getting out of character because I'm lying to the pastor because I don't want him to know when it's like, I'm married, like I'm doing the right thing. I'm not shacking up. Like I waited till I got married to live with my husband. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that. And I feel like I was doing the right stuff, but because you told me I wasn't doing it right, then I'm like, oh, okay. Or I'm not gonna tell you and I'm gonna sneak around
and then
or whatever.
forfeit from like living your truth.
Yes, yes. Or like another time I was gonna go to Clark Atlanta, using the university, because I did my whole little Black college tour, loved it. I was gonna go, and then people were like, "Oh, you sure you want to go there? Like, oh, you're book smart, you're not street smart, so you won't make it and all that stuff." And then I didn't get to go. I didn't go because people in my family telling me like, "Oh, you won't do good. You need to just stay here," and all this other stuff. And then I missed out on an opportunity to go do something great because I let other people's opinions of me dictate what I want to do or what I'm doing. So that is
okay. We all do it.
Yeah,
We literally
the
all
worst.
do it.
The worst.
It's the worst.
But I mean, it got you to your path where you are now. So.
Right.
Yes.
And that's one thing I can say. Yeah, I think that we all have the similarity of not listening to ourselves. I'm gonna let you go. Of not listening to ourselves. But obviously, we've learned some very important lessons from that. But then also still feeling like I could have just lived my truth, probably avoided a lot more pain and suffering for myself.
Right.
But also I like who I am
Right.
because of all of these things that have happened up until now.
Because then it created problems in my other relationships, because since I felt like I can't tell anybody because I don't want so-and-so to know. I didn't tell my best friend, and that just strained on us. Like, what? You had this big life moment, and you didn't tell me, you know? So it was just like, that relationship was strained for a minute, which was super hurtful with all my friends. And then I ended up having like a wedding because people were like, oh, well, you got married, you didn't like include us. So we're like, okay, we'll just have like actual ceremony and all this. She didn't be in it because she was so hurt by, not that I got married, but because I was just for so long not telling her, lying, like saying, oh yeah, this is where I'm at, but really, you know, I'm living over here, making up where I live, or, you know, just different stupid things that I lied about because I was afraid of.
For the comfort of the
Yes.
I feel like this was also something that I had to think about for a long time, because I am that person that's like, I don't, like, you know, whenever you're like doing the stupid like speed dating questions with somebody and they're like, oh, what's one thing you regret? Like, I'm always that person that's like, I regret nothing because I am where I am, and whatever mistakes I make now is gonna lead me to where I'll be. Like, so
baby's cold. Air on blast.
So like with me, I had to think about this, but I think that I waited till last because I'm still thinking about it.
Okay.
But I think, and this is kind of giving a lot of information about me.
Okay.
But I think that I wish that I would have recognized toxic traits in myself sooner.
Okay. I'm here for it.
I say that it's like anxiety driven, but to be completely honest, I don't know that it was. But anxiety is the only emotion that I have known ever. Like, I have, my child development degree has helped me realize that I was never like taught how to express or feel or recognize any other emotion except anxiety. And so now I'm 23 and I'm like, oh, there's other feelings that I can have. And so I had a relationship in college that like I was just toxic during. Like, it was literally his 21st birthday and he was like kind of pre-gaming with his friends, and I wasn't 21 yet, so I couldn't go to the bar. I literally stormed out of this party because I couldn't stand the thought of like him going to the bar saying that he was gonna cheat on me, which like, and so then I would lash out on him, and like I was the controlling one in the relationship. I was the toxic person in the relationship, and I was controlling, and it didn't even click for me until my junior year of college. And so like I look back on those things and like I'm glad that I recognized it, but I wish I would have recognized it sooner, because I think that I still look back on that and I'm like, I'm a horrible person, like why did I do that? But I have to forgive myself and like keep moving forward with that, because now I can openly talk about it. But I don't know. I think that I just never expressed my emotions ever. But I've also kind of experienced, I was on the other side of like what you were talking about, like speaking up. Like, I had a best friend in high school that like would not tell me why she was mad at me. And so I almost had to like kiss her ass. And so then I lived throughout college scared that people were mad at me, and if they were mad at me, that they weren't gonna tell me. So like, y'all remember whenever we went to dinner and I was like, hey, like, just Jake and I like had just broken up, and I was like, I'm gonna while out for a little while, and I know that I will. I should have recognized that pattern and just like stopped it then. But I was like, if I start doing stupid shit, like don't stop talking to me. Like just like tell me that I'm doing something stupid and help me realize it.
You did say that.
Because I had relationships where people would just like leave instead of like recognizing like, oh, like she needs help. And so I think that I was kind of on the opposite side to where I felt like people were just like leaving. And I think that a lot of my control came from that, because I didn't feel like I had control over any situation.
That was deep, Zax.
That it really was. That was a lot of accountability.
Yeah, you're able to recognize it and change. I feel like that's a great trait about like going into your 20s is that you start to recognize a lot of stuff that isn't the healthiest, and then it's like, this is why I feel the way I feel. Oh, so that's what. Oh, I shouldn't have been there, but it's like a lot of aha. It's aha. 20s are for your aha. And instead of going into your 30s, 40s, and you're just controlling everything, and then you end up by yourself at 60, wondering why you in the old folks home because nobody wants you. Like you see why. I know, but that's how a lot of people are. Like older people are. They're like, they regret a lot of things because they never took that accountability. And it's like, well, you're the problem. So if you try to like identify, okay, if you have all these people leaving you, maybe you are the common trait. Like, what are you doing that is not aligning? Not saying you gotta kiss everybody's tail, but it's like there's other ways that you can approach it. So you don't have to be as obnoxious, you don't have to be as dominating. It's just like, okay, you can voice it. If they don't take it, then it's like, all right, well, see you later. It's just kind of like accepting and like, you said like, it's okay. Like, it's okay not to have those conversations. It's okay, let it go, But I feel like 20s are for your aha. It's like, you're not letting so much control you, but you're also taking that accountability where it's like, well, yeah, I messed up. I didn't communicate. That was my bad. Sorry, but we're here now.
Right.
So what do we need to talk
how are
about?
we gonna move forward from here?
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
It is.
It's good that you recognize it.
That's
Very good.
Well, that's why I always like talk about like whenever people are like, oh, have you ever like cheated? And like you kind of gotta like, you don't have to air out your dirty laundry, but whenever they kind of ask those deeper questions, like I've always been the person that like will own up to it, because I'm like, the people who lie about it and say that they didn't are the people that I feel like are gonna repeat those patterns,
Right.
because they don't want to acknowledge that they did something wrong. And so I'm the person that's like, yeah, I did. Like, I'm not proud of it. I don't want to do it. I went through the repercussions of having to deal with that guilt, and I just remember thinking about myself and thinking that I was nasty, I was used, like I didn't want like to be close with any male. I didn't feel like any male like should be with me because of all of that. But like I talk about it now because I'm like, I don't want to go feel it again. Like I fucked up and I absolutely felt the repercussions of it, and I'm not gonna do it again.
Deflect either. It's like, well, he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, so I went out and got what I needed. Like people deflect, they kind of like just throw it on the other person. It's like, well, no, you
say that they're in like a shitty marriage. You're like, it's a two personal relationship.
You're very conscious about your decision. You chose to go. Either if it was talking, whether it was a touch, whether it was more than that. It's like, but you were aware and you were very conscious of the decision that you made. So don't deflect. Like, yes, there are reasons why people cheat, but also there's other ways that you can do. You don't have to step out, you can step in and you can work on your relationship. Or just say, what we doing? Right. Okay? Because I feel like, man, you take,
Yeah.
I and just get it out there. If you know.
You know. This has been another episode of the #Truth Challenge podcast / web series. You can find me on Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes at #Truth Challenge. If you want to follow me on Instagram at Tamia Salise, I will tag everyone else in this video. You can follow them if you'd like. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back another time. Peace.
Bye.